up, people? So the other day, I was browsing the net, and I'm just looking at, cars for sale, trucks for sale, bikes for sale, and, I'm just browsing, and I came across this old school Diamondback Silver Streak 2. And it was the exact same BMX that I used to have 20 years ago that I got off my stepbrother. And I posted it on Facebook and I tagged him in it and I was just like, hey, remember this bike? And I remembered there's actually a really good story that goes along with that bike. So 20 years ago, I think it was 2000, yeah. And my stepbrother, he was in a foster family, and that this summer, his stepmom took them all to get bikes that summer. And I can't remember if they went to, it was a flea market or a garage sale or an auction, but they came home with a bunch of used bikes. And amongst these used bikes was this Diamondback Silver Streak 2. And the wheels were all bent and it was wobbly, you couldn't really ride it. So we took it to Doug Spoken Sport. And back then, Doug Spoken Sport was in Greystone Park Mall. Now Greystone Park Mall isn't there anymore. It was torn down years ago, but it used to be beside Superstore on A Street. That's where they started. They started in a little strip mall on A Street, and then they got bigger and then they moved downtown. But we took this Diamondback there to see if they could, fix the rims or replace them. And remember, this was in 2000, so the bike really wasn't that old yet. It was just past discontinued. So they looked at the bike and they're just like, we can't straighten these wheels. They're way too bent. And we don't have any parts that'll fit on this bike. The bike had really skinny rims and tires because it was a racing BMX. It was meant for the track and stuff. So once they told us that there was nothing they could do about it, the bike immediately became a conversation piece. And after that, for about a year, the bike just kind of sat in the yard. And my stepbrother, he got himself into trouble and he had to move away for a while. So the bike was just sitting in the yard. And I remember one day, I was jumping on the trampoline. They had a trampoline in their backyard, and I was looking at this bike sitting in the grass thinking, there's got to be something you can do with it. It's a Diamondback. So I ended up buying it off of his stepmom. I think I gave her $20 or something, and I brought it home, and I started tinkering with it. And I took the rims off, and there was another BMX that was a parts bike, a newer BMX. So I took the rims off of there, and I tried to fit them on the bike, and of course they didn't fit because of the brake pattern. So I had to take the front brakes off, and I had to change out the front fork because the rim and the tire were too wide. They were rubbing up against the fork. So I changed out the front fork, but the fork that I changed it out to didn't match up to the old handlebar stem. So I had to change the handlebars too. So I finally got a front wheel on there, and I thought, that's fine, there's no front brake as long as I have a back brake. And so I grabbed the back tire off of my parts bike, and same thing, I put it on the back, but it was the same deal. The brakes were in the way, and the frame was a little bit narrow, so what I did was I tried to bend it enough that I could fit the wheel in there, and then I took the brakes off, and it worked. I got wheels on the bike, but it had no brakes. So I was just like, whatever. And back then when we were kids, we used to use our shoe and on the back of the tire to slow down. So I was doing that. And one day I was biking with my other stepbrother, and we bike all the way out of town. We bike all the way to Wanuskewin. way out there. And we get there, and my stepbrother, he's tired. He's like, I don't want to bike all the way back. The hell with that. So his stepmom comes and picks him up and puts his bike in the car, and I'm just like, oh, it's fine. I'll bike back. So they follow me back, and we're on the highway, and I'm booking it. Like, I'm giving it everything it's got, and she's driving beside me in the car, and she's clocking me doing 30 miles an hour. The bike was fast. And so we get back to the city, and that's that. And a couple weeks later, we go for another ride out there, and we find some Jeep trails. Now, remember, this bike still has no brakes. So we're on the top of this kind of cliff, and we need to get to the bottom. So I go first. Of course, he watched me, and there was a big crater at the bottom of this cliff, and I didn't notice it at first. So I go flying down this hill, and my bike falls into this crater, and I go flying over the handlebars, and I land right on my arm, and I nearly break my arm, and I knock myself out. And my stepbrother, he comes down the hill afterwards using his slower because he has brakes, and gets to the bottom of the hill, and I sit up, and he's just like, your arm's bleeding, you should put water on it. And I'm just like, what? Where are we? And he's just like, you wiped out, you're bleeding, you should put water on. I'm like, what water? He's like, the water in your bag. I was right out of it. And out of nowhere, this guy shows up walking. And it was weird. Even my stepbrother said it was weird. He just came out of nowhere. And he walks with us for a bit, and he's just like, there's a golf course. There's a golf course just that way. You keep going, you'll run into it. And if you need medical attention or something like that, you can call yourself an ambulance or something, but it's over there. You should go get yourself checked out or something. And then just like that, he walked off and he disappeared. It was the weirdest thing. But what I ended up doing was, we rode back into the city. I just put my arm I just held my arm and kind of like this, and I just rode my bike with one hand all the way home. But yeah, I nearly broke my arm. It was I went to the clinic, and they're just like, it's not broken. It's really, really badly bruised, and it's going to be a while before it heals. So I nearly broke my arm and knocked myself out. But after that, I took the bike to get custom fitted for a brake. So I had a brake after that. But yeah, I think I had that bike for maybe a year or two after that, and then it ended up getting stolen. I got a job at the Centennial Auditorium. It's called TCU Place now, but I locked up my bike there. And back then, when we'd wash dishes, we'd be there for like 9-10 hours some nights. And of course, I came out, it would be like 4 o'clock in the morning. My bike, somebody cut the lock, the bike was fucking gone. So, and you know, when you work past midnight, they have to pay your cab home. So I didn't have to walk home at least. But yeah, that's my story of the Diamondback Silver Streak 2. It was a really cool bike. I was surprised when I seen it on the internet. I was just like, wow, there's my old bike. But yeah. It's kind of cool what you come across when you're just browsing the net.